Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. This is actually my first live recorded podcast where video recorded. So I'm excited about this because I have a very, very special guest today. I wouldn't want anybody else to be on here for my first podcast, and I sincerely mean that from the bottom of my heart. Um, so today, have Miss Candyce Anderson, also known as C. She is a licensed psychotherapist. She's a trauma expert and author. She has been featured in multiple magazines, for example, Forbes, Black Enterprise. She's done TEDx, Washington Post, and it's so much more. Like the list goes on. And she's also a Reiki healer as well. So she is a phenomenal person. She's really one of those people who is out here putting in the work, honey. So don't listen, don't go to sleep, Anderson. I'm telling you, she's a powerhouse, and she's actually out here doing some great things. So thank you so much for coming on today, C. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you opening up this space to have these kinds of conversations.
Oh, of course, absolutely. I think we need more of these spaces for sure. And if I can help spread the message, I'm going to definitely do my part. So, you have recently had a video that has gone viral. Some of you may recognize Miss C because when I go onto Facebook or Instagram, now TikTok, I'm seeing these videos have gone more and more viral. And it's the video, for those of you who may not know, of the ancestral ceremony that took place before the Montgomery Brawl. So we wanted to just come on here for you guys and bring some light to you so that you can kind of understand the dynamics of what happened around that brawl. A lot of us were just taking it at face value, and we never think about why the events played out in the way that they did, and also the results played out in the way that they did as well. So I would like to ask you first if you can shed light, give us a little bit of background and history on that river. Tell us a little bit about the significance of that location.
The Montgomery River front, also we call it the River Walk, and it has an amphitheater and I think a bar slash restaurant. But prior to it being developed and being deemed a historical site, it was, in fact, one of the docks that brought in enslaved Africans for auction as a part of the transatlantic slave trade. So, in addition to it being this beautiful and scenic space where people go to have picnics and concerts and things like that in the summer, it has a very dark and demeaning history for those who are descendants of enslaved Africans.
Wow, wow. That's deep. That's very, very deep,
Mm-hmm.
I think most people are aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
That I was aware of because I am from Alabama, and who know me know that I am from Alabama, and I'm actually I was raised about 45 minutes away from where this happened at Montgomery. So that's very important that you guys do realize and that you guys know the significance of that area as well. So talk to us a little bit about what took place with you ladies with the Feminine Flow experience a couple of hours before this brawl. Kind of set the scene as well. Let us know what was going on around you guys before.
So prior to the video that was spread across all of social media, the event was that Friday and Saturday. The Friday was the welcome reception where we all got together and just mingled and had a really good time. And then Saturday was positioned to be the full conference in which we did some really deep and emotional, mental, physical healing work. And so for the day, maybe 9 a.m. until about 4 p.m. is when we had speakers that came in and beautiful ambiance and luncheon prepared. We talked about wound care and health. We talked about stress and how it affects the body. And we talked about healing from wounds like sexual assault and miscarriage and divorce and childhood trauma. And so it was an opportunity for women to come and feel safe to disclose and to get support for the things that we often hide, and things that we often minimize or attempt to forget. And at the end of the day, we had done so much healing that the women were overjoyed. And so we gave them roses and we walked about a half a block to the entrance of the Montgomery riverfront. And there was where we took those flowers and laid them in the water, just thanking our ancestors for strength, because a lot of the women who attended were born and raised in Montgomery. And so it's likely that some of their ancestors filed in through that same access point. And shortly after, I think about 5:45, 6 o'clock was when the brawl broke out. And so, of course, we had no idea that is what was going to happen. But we were thankful that no one was mortally wounded, because Montgomery is a state in which you can carry and conceal without a permit. And so for that to have happened and no one be mortally injured, no one be shot, was unbelievable. And we were so grateful that that happened. And so people are attributing all of the happenstance to that particular ceremony. Well, no one can say definitively that that is the case. What we can say is that we as a people are stronger together, and that healing and reconciliation has to happen in order for us to move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are so much stronger together. I mean, it's amazing the strength that we have together. And, I hope that those that are listening caught what she said. Like, people could have been there with their weapons, open carry. Like anybody can walk around and have their weapons on them. So
Mhm.
how is it that nobody was brutally injured, nobody was killed, nobody was hurt, like hurt significantly, nobody was murdered? I mean, even when you think about the dynamic of the police coming there and
Mhm.
then not like shooting anybody or not
Mhm.
overreacting like we're used to.
Mhm.
You mean
Right. So no excessive force was used.
like
We have to just acknowledge that when we tap into the power that is available to us, it is an opportunity for change to happen. We don't always have control over the way in which that change is brought about. But I think for a lot of people, when they saw the gentleman, I think his name is Damien, um, being attacked, we didn't want to watch another Black male be mortally wounded, his life lost on camera,
right.
because we're tired, right? As a people, we're tired of that narrative, we're tired of that song. And I think this is one of the events where people took it into consideration and said, no more. So we're gonna go help and we're gonna go support. And thankfully, I think that there was a little bit of restraint that was used in those that gathered, but everyone is safe and people are facing charges, and things that are a result of fighting and public intoxication. Those consequences are still there, but we could have been burying on both sides loved ones and family members, and that didn't happen.
Exactly. Yeah, it has gotten more out of hand, and especially when you think about, I had heard that there was a Trump rally as well for that. So, I was told that people were feeling a little bit more like, assertive, like, okay, we can kind of do what we want to do right now because they
Mhm.
were. So I think that when you actually put that into consideration as well, it could have played out a lot worse. And like you said, we are tired, and I think that's a good
Mhm.
thing. At some
Mhm.
point, at some point, we need to come together. If we are tired of seeing our husbands, our fathers, and our children just, brutally injured, brutally murdered and killed out here in the street and everywhere else, we have to do something. And
Mhm.
so important and it went so viral because we actually did come together, and I think we all felt that, and
Mhm.
when I went back and I watched what you guys did at the water, and I know you said you all were singing when you all were walking towards the water.
Well, we weren't singing, but we did have music. And so we were playing a couple of songs, I think, for Beyonce's Black is King. And so Find Your Way Back was one of the songs. But then also when we approached the dock, the Harriet 2, that boat that was seen in the video, it was the band on the boat was playing Wade in the Water. So there were a lot of synchronicities that day, within the last 24 hours that likely prepared people in the space for what was to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you guys, the synchronicities in your life, for those of you who may not be aware, but pay attention to those. Pay attention to those. That's oftentimes, God or the universe's way of communicating with you to send you a message. It
Mhm.
synchronicities. It can be done through repetitious numbers that you're seeing, and
Mhm.
that is not to be ignored. I think in our culture, we just have this thing where, oh, it's just a coincidence. And we'll just like,
Right.
whatever.
Right. Yeah, which is, interesting because we often look for, give me a sign. But if you aren't aware and open to what signs look like, you'll miss them.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so true. You have to know, or you'll miss them and you will significantly miss out on, what you've been asking for. It might have been right there in front of you and all you had to do was just put your hands out, and you would have received it, but you didn't see that. You didn't notice that sign. So I think that's very
Mhm.
important as well. So tell us a little bit about with the ceremony, because we can clearly see what happens from the video. We can clearly see what happens when we come together. And for those of us who are not familiar with um, honoring our ancestors and what you guys did with putting the beautiful flowers in the water, as an offering, is this something that people can do anywhere that they are locally? Is there anything
Mhm.
special to do? Can you give us a little bit of information on that?
So what we don't realize is that we do it anyway,
Wow.
right? But we have a habit of decontextualizing acts of honor when it looks different than what we're used to, and we name it something else. So just as you go to your loved one's grave and you put flowers on their grave, and some people are having conversations or, speaking aloud in regards to their loved one. Some people go and release balloons. Some people go, and I saw a video not too long ago where there was a family. They were not a Black family, but they were a family. They were at a lake putting flowers in the water and I guess spreading some ashes and things. It's the same thing. It is the same way of just paying respects to those who are no longer here, but who you have connection with and who's come before you. And so we have to be very careful not to label or demonize practices that are really already present, but we're just not very conscious of, and we're not very conscious of the power that's connected to the practice.
Right, exactly. We're not consciously aware, like you said, of that. And I thank you so much for bringing awareness because it's needed. It's needed. And this is just my personal opinion to people listening, but I personally think that the reason that these events took place in the way that they did, with no one being hurt or killed, is because of this ancestral ceremony that was done, giving them honor, just giving them honor, just giving them, thanks for what they did. We appreciate everything that you've done. Without
Mhm.
not be where we are today. We just want to honor you because, I'm a firm believer that energy never dies. It just transitions. So I don't think that that energy is just dead and gone. No, I think that energy is still alive and present.
Right.
And that it's important that we don't forget, we don't forget where we came from, and just know that that ancestral blood and DNA is still in us to help
Correct.
become what we want to become and do the things that we want to do. So why not give reverence? Why not give honor? And I believe that in Montgomery, Alabama, with a brawl that happened, in which it did, I just think that I personally think, me being from Alabama, I think there's no way that would have turned out that great, like ever in life. Like you would have never been
Mhm.
pay me to somebody come and say, "Hey, Kiafa, did you know that this right here happened in Montgomery?" Like if I was overseas or something and didn't know, I'd
Mhm.
be like, "No way, you have to be lying." Like, and nobody was killed, nobody was murdered.
Right.
You see that the man who threw his hat up, so he didn't go to jail. Okay, but there,
Mhm.
what? No,
Mhm.
no,
Mhm.
no, I don't believe that. So
Correct.
there were higher powers that were present, and that ancestral ceremony. To me, I think that that's what did it.
Mhm.
And so that's just my opinion on that. But I think that you also said that that Wade in the Water was on that song. And for you to actually get there, and they were playing from the boat, "Take Me to the Water," I think you said.
So the song when I woke up, that just kind of resonated in my spirit was Take Me to
Okay,
the Water. And then of course approaching the boat and hearing Wait in the Water. Again, those synchronicities, they don't lie, and it's not happenstance. But if you're not tapped in and tuned in and you're not understanding, you'll miss them.
absolutely, absolutely. And I was talking about this on my last podcast with Miss Brandy Knox, and she said, "Kiafa, did you ever think about the fact that how is it that they decided to do this ancestral ceremony the same day, just a couple hours before it happened?" And I was
Mhm.
like, what? I was like, you know what? That's a really good point. The same
Mhm.
day. Let's say it had happened like the day before, because you have a lot of skeptics, right? So if it
Mhm.
had like 2 days before, 3 days before, a week before, people would have been like, whatever. But
Right.
no, same
Right.
day, that blew my mind.
Yeah, because initially it was supposed to be in April, and so I needed to change it, and so I just made a decision to change it to that particular date. And again, you could say just me paying attention to, okay, April doesn't feel like that's when it needs to be. Let me check with the vendors and the venue, and it worked. So it was absolutely meant to happen in that
Yeah,
place at that time on that day. So, yeah.
absolutely. So tell us a little bit about how other ladies can get involved with the Feminine Flow experience. Tell us
Sure.
about,
So we are planning another event. This is an annual event that will take place in Montgomery, but we are planning events in other cities. And so depending upon where they are welcome to go to my website, thefeminineflowexperience.com, and they can join the mailing list to get the notification of when we're going to be in a city near them. And there's a survey in the email that they will receive where they can say where they're from, why they want us to come, how they can support, so that we can continue the planning and continue this part of the movement, because that's what it is. So my Instagram, C Anderson Live, or feminineflowexperience.com, the website, is how they can get involved and how they can reach me.
yes, thank you so much. I know that you definitely signed up. You know, a lot of you guys know that I'm currently in Mexico, so I'll be here for a while. And I was telling Miss C that, look, I want to do that here. You know, there are women here, and I was telling them about it, and they were like, yeah, you know, we definitely need that here. There is an outpouring of energy for healing with the feminine. And I think that this right here would be something that would be great if we can help to spread it. So you guys definitely hit her up, you know, go ahead and sign up. Let's spread this. I mean, if we want this to continue, we have the power. That's the whole point of this, is to let you guys, we can come together collectively to raise the collective consciousness. We can do amazing things. Like, if tell me that that wasn't amazing, how that turned out. Like, you can't tell me how that was not amazing, and it was because we came together. So let's continue together, and let's continue to spread this. You know, I would like for you guys to share this podcast, because we need to have, I would say, a great awakening, you know, so that we can all continue to come together, and that we can all continue to build with each other and accomplish greater and greater things in our lives. So thank you so much, Steve, for coming.
Thank you.
We will definitely be in touch, because more information, and I want us to get started here in Mexico. Let this be an international. And
Wonderful. I would love that.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Kiafa. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. See you
All
later.
right. Bye-bye.